Laws are usually written for a reason, for the benefit of society. But there are some rules that aren't written down, but maybe should be. There Ought to Be a Law by Erma Bombeck. Read by Karl. When in the course of human events, one's sanity is in jeopardy, it becomes necessary for a lone voice in the wilderness to cry out. In the name of justice for all, but especially me, that I offer the following declarations that will provide peace of mind for so many. A Baby's Bill of Rights. Article the 1st. People who chew garlic should not be allowed within 3 miles of a baby under penalty of drowning by spitting. Article the 2nd. Excessive bail should be set for turkeys who tickle a baby's feet until he faints, or throw him up in the air after a full meal. Article the 3rd. Where a crime of the kidneys has been committed, the accused should enjoy the right to a speedy diaper change. Public announcements, details, and guided tours of the aforementioned are not necessary. Article the 4th. The decision to eat strayed lamb or not to eat strayed lamb should be with the feedee and not the feeder. Blowing the strayed lamb into the feeder's face should be accepted as an opinion, not as a declaration of war. Article the 5th. Babies should enjoy the freedom to vocalize, whether it be in church, a public meeting place, during a movie, or after hours when the lights are out. They have not yet learned that joy and laughter have to last a lifetime and must be conserved. Amendment 1. No baby shall at any time be quartered in a house where there are no soft laps, no laughter, or no love. The Hernian Amendment to the National Anthem. Few will argue that the inspirational words of Francis Scott Key are stirring enough to make Jane Fonda enlist in the Coast Guard, but something has got to be done about the melody of our national anthem before someone hurts himself. I watched a man at the ball game the other Sunday standing tall and proud as he sung, "Oh, Say Can You See?" But by the time he got to the high-pitched and by the rocket's red glare, the veins were standing out his neck, his face became flushed, and his voice cracked like Andy Hardy asking the judge for the keys to the Packard. Seeing I was looking at him, he gasped and said, "I love this country." "Me too," I said sadly, stuffing a program in his mouth. You take your average citizen. He sings on maybe 10 or 12 occasions a year, and does not have what is normally called your trained voice. He can make Happy Birthday to Marvin, if they start low, or Should All the Quickness Be Forgot, and maybe a chorus of the Beer Barrel Polka with a few beaters, but beyond that he's limited. Me? It's my experience that anytime I go from the Twilight's last gleaming to the ramparts we watched, there was pain inside my right leg, so I do everything but just mouthing the words. Invariably, wherever I go, I'm standing next to Beverly Sills, who comes down the land of the free with 2 notes. The latter reached only the ears of a Springer Spaniel in New England. So saying down these thoughts, I wondered who wrote the music in the Star-Spangled Banner and what's in my reference book. Ironically, the music was an old English tricky song called Anacreon in Heaven. Obviously, there's those who can sing the melody, but they had trouble with Anacreon. I personally believe there are a lot of patriotic Americans around who would like to still sing the Star-Spangled Banner in its entirety, but they were discriminated against because they are bluebirds, singing with a range of 1 octave. Would it be unreal to have one national anthem with 2 melodies? Once for additionalists who could also sing Bacharach's Alfie without fading, and a simple tone for those of us who sing in the cracks in the piano? To the 3,085 ball players who chew tobacco, this could mean a lot. Kissing by mutual ratification. This country has to make a hard and fast rule about greeting people with a kiss. Either we all are, or we all aren't. Frankly, I gave up kissing people hello at the age of 7 when my mother hired a piano teacher who chewed garlic. It's enough to make you do the minute waltz in 10 seconds. It wasn't until I began appearing on talk shows that I saw the return of the kissy kissy. It was weird. The same person who kissed you when you walked in the studio also kissed you when you turned from the makeup room, the green room, and the ladies' room. Not only that, when you saw them again in the set, they acted like they hadn't seen you since World War I when they left you for dead in Paris with a fever. Actually, kiss people hello takes some skill. First you have to establish who's going to be the kisser and who's going to be the kissee. There should be no indecision once the kisser decides to plant one on. He or she should grab the kissee by either the hands or the shoulder and kiss from the left. Only vampires approach from the right. If you're kissing another woman, beware of earrings that will strike you blind, jewelry that can puncture the inflated parts of your body, and instant asphyxiation in a nest of stiff hair. I was once speared and deflated by an open pin, and the name called and said, "Hello, my name is Inez Funkhauser." A prime consideration is the length of the kiss. What's considered good taste for a kiss of greeting? I've seen producers greet guests in such an enthusiastic way, I can only assume A, he was giving most of the representation to a dead woman, or B, they're leaving after the show to pick out the dishes. Hello greeting should be a quick and personal peck with all the passion of a sex-starved orangutan. Some kissers are so casual that while they're pecking you, their eyes are picking out the next kissee. The person was farsighted and got his other problems on the kissing custom. I once embraced a one girl for 5 minutes while insisting, "What do you mean I don't remember you, Florence?" Generally acknowledge that one woman kissing another, especially when she sees her all the time, is senseless. As I said the other day when I kissed a man with a toothpick in his mouth, ouch. Search and seizure rights in the laundry room. I tacked up a note in the children's room yesterday that read, "All clothes left over 90 days will be pulled away at the owner's expense and sold at public auction." "What does that mean?" asked my youngest. "It means you have diapers at the bottom of your stack of clothes and you're 13 years old. It means I'm sick of watching you dress each morning over the toaster. It means your clothes have a home when I want to see them in that home." "I need to talk to you about that," he said. "Why'd you throw my blue dreams in the wash?" "Because they were in the middle of the floor." "Would you scrunch down the 2 little holes?" I nodded. "What's that got to do with it?" "When it's scrunched down like that, they are dirty. How am I supposed to know when they're dirty? The dirty ones kicked out of the bed. Why don't you put them on top of the bed?" "Because I don't want them to get mixed up with the clean clothes." "Instead of sleeping with your clean clothes, why don't you take them out of the laundry room and put them in a drawer? Because that's where I keep the dirty underwear I'm going to wear again." I took a deep breath. "Why would you wear underwear 2 days in a row?" "Because it's my lucky underwear." "For whom?" I asked dryly. "Suppose you want me to put my clothes in the clothes hamper?" he asked. Crossed my mind. "With all the wet towels in there, my clothes would get ruined." "You're supposed to put your wet towels on the towel rack." "What do I do with all your pantyhose and sweaters?" "Put them in your utility room," I shouted. "Does this mean I lose my place dressing over the toaster?" he asked. I pointed a firm hand at his bottom. "No, it means your underwear just got unlucky." Regulation of interstate shopping cart traffic. It's my feeling that the driving age of shoppers operating supermarket carts be raised to 35. Going to the supermarket used to be an adventure. Today, it's a combat mission. So I was telling a friend the other day, it's a jungle out there with all the young and inexperienced drivers and little old ladies who only drive a shopping cart on Sundays after church. The shopping cart is the most underrated traffic hazard on the road today. To begin with, no license is required in any state to ride these little vehicles. Anyone regardless of age, vision, physical condition, or mental health can get behind the things. Occasionally, no one is behind the wheels, and these little irresponsible devils slam at the cars in the parking lot without a driver in sight. To say they're unsafe at any speed is an understatement. Consider, if you will, their deficiencies. 1. Grocery carts are never parked. They wedge together as a group at the door and must be separated by kicking, jiggling, wriggling, and a good stiff kick in the old breadbasket. This possibly accounts for the body construction being weakened. Yours, not the cart. A safety check revealed there isn't a shopping cart that does not have all 4 wheels working. Unfortunately, all 4 are locked in stable directions. 3 wheels want to shop, and the 4th wants to go to the parking lot. There are no seatbelts for the children riding in shopping cart seats. Thus, it is not usual to have them wean into your cart and eat half a pound of raw hamburger before you discover they're there. Shopping carts should be like airplanes and nuns. It takes 2 to handle the situation. 1 to drive, and 1 to gawk and read the calorie content of frozen lasagna. 5. Passing a supermarket is hazardous because supermarket aisles are built to accommodate the width of 1.5 carts. Thus, we encourage the reckless driver who fears the whipped cream topping in his cart is melting and will purposely force your cart into produce. And here's the shocker. There are no brakes on a shopping cart. And what's worse, Ralph Nader doesn't even care. Truth in fair packaging of children. We do a lot of talking in this country about fair packaging. People like to know what they're getting before they get stuck with it. Do a lot of thinking about how I'm going to merchandise my kids. Frankly, in clear conscience, I don't see how I can let them go into marriage without slapping a stick on their forehead that reads, "This person may be injurious to your mental health." I envision some poor bride coming to me in tears and saying, You tricked me. Why didn't you tell me your son doesn't know how to close a door after himself? It'll only be a matter of time before she discovers he's lacking other basic skills, and I would feel guilty. For example, my son does not know how to wring out a washcloth. I've held washcloth seminars in which I've demonstrated the twist wrist action. He still insists on dropping it sopping full of water wherever he happens to be standing. He can't fold a newspaper after he's read it, hear phone ring as it's for him, put a cap on a tube or bottle, and carry on a conversation unless his mouth is full. He hangs his clothes on a chair and makes his bed by smoothing it over with a coat hanger. Unless he changes drastically, he could be impossible to live with. He insists on having his own window in the car, calling seconds on the meat before he sits down at the table, and once confessed to her friend he does not brush his teeth until school starts in September. No, I would be a traitor to my own sex if I did not put a tag around this child's reading: boy, 11 years old, made in USA, height 4'8", net weight, including package, is 76 pounds, natural coloring, blonde in summer, washed out in winter. Capacity, 8 meals a day, contains 3,500 calories at all time, artificially sweetened. Unaffected by sun, rain, and mud. Standard ingredients, 80% charm, 10% gold breaking, and 1% energy. Read label carefully. Take 11-year-old boy with tongue of cheek, grain of salt, and a frequent checkup. Constitutionality of drive-in windows. Just my own personal observation, but I don't think God ever meant a man to do his banking, order food, or mail a letter from the driver's seat of the car. I've noted only 2 cars that have swung precariously out of a position where they can comfortably do business. One was a car from a demolition derby, and the other was a rental. Neither had anything to lose. Driving banks intimidate the most, possibly because I am on camera and quite so confident about having a teller gather and explain, "Watch this one, Dorothy. She's the one who fell apart when her fender was ripped off last week." Consequently, I've become something of a conservative. I pull in a good 6 feet window, and when the door slides out, I find that by opening my car door and forcing my head to the short seatbelt, pushing on the brake pedal with my right foot, and bending my knee against the gear shift for leverage, I can slide my deposit slip into the drawer, providing A, I discontinue breathing for a while, and B, there are no high winds to circulate my deposit slip into the parking lot. The mailboxes are something else. Never pull up the one without visualizing a meeting of the Postal Department of Washington, figuring out how to position the boxes. No, Chester, said the designer. You place the boxes in the driver's side of the car. We mustn't pamper them. Put them on the passenger side, so the driver will have to put the car in park, straddle the stick shift on the console, come astern of the window, and just try to sail the letter into this 6-inch slot. The slot should be just about the pickup times that have become blurred and unreadable, so that's Chester. Higher, Chester. Much higher, smiled his boss. You would order for 500 pounds mouse is something else again, especially when you're alone. I feel like such a fool shouting until the varicose veins in my neck surface. As my husband observed, you don't have to go to drive-ins, you know. You can always use your feet. Better to grow long arms. Are family vacations legal? So many parents have been the victims of family vacations, it's just possible that many of them are not familiar with some existing laws or how to handle some of the crises that arise. These are some of the most common inquiries. The abandoned child law. It is illegal in 47 states to leave a child in a restroom and pretend it was a mistake. Maryland and Utah are sympathetic to parents. They can produce a doctor's certificate showing mental deterioration caused by the trip. Alaska, which is quite permissive, allows a mild sedation for the children. The New Jersey versus Kidder law. It's illegal in the New Jersey Turnpike for a child to hang out the window and make a noise like a siren. This noise was handed in 1953, after 45 cars, including 3 police cruisers, pulled over to the side of the road and tied up traffic for 52 hours. The key decision. All 50 states have rulings regarding children who collect restroom keys and souvenirs. One of the stiffer penalties is feeding a child a quart of Gatorade and putting him outside a locked door until the key shows up. The no-fault litter law. Vehicles bearing families are not permitted to stop in the downtown area of cities having a population of 450,000 or more to look for a gym shoe that someone threw out of the moving vehicle. It's suggested that mothers put name tags and full addresses on both shoes. Anti-noise laws. Nearly every city, including 3 ghost towns in Arizona, has a noise pollution law. If in fact your vacationers have 2 radios playing at full volume, a barking dog, and a father screaming, "Would anyone believe we didn't have to get married?" and can be heard with all the car windows up, everyone on the car can be arrested. Safe driving law. It is unlawful to inflate the 20-foot life-rafted sedan blocking Daddy's view of the road, braid his hair while he's driving in the mountains, or tie his shoes together when he's going through a tunnel. Regaining the single status on a exit ramp. This is tricky, but some parents have opted to dissolve a family relationship on the spot by summoning legal aid. In this event, however, it is well to remember that children get custody of the station wagon. Illegal possession of junk food. A grade school principal in the East became so upset about lack of nutrition in the lunches the children were eating, he declared an edict banning junk food from the cafeteria. I have a feeling the kids jammed the edict between 2 potato chips, 2 squares of Hershey's chocolate, and a handful of lunch. There is certainly no quarrel with the theory. Children should eat nutritionally balanced meals. But children do not take to ultimatums. I would have tried the old accentuate the negative, reverse the positive, and make the kid think your idea is his and is driving you crazy approach. Instead of an edict, the bulletin would read something like this. Memo to school children. Read nutritional lunches. 1. Carrots are illegal on school premises. Children being from home will need a note from a parent giving permission to have them, or they will be confiscated by the office and held until dismissal time. 2. Locker inspection for thermoses containing hot vegetable soup or other nutritious dishes will be held periodically without warning. At that time, students are instructed to go to their lockers and stand at attention. Do not unlock your locker until a teacher instructs you to do so. Thermoses will be destroyed by the custodian. 3. Because of student demand, we are selling fresh fruit by the door in the cafeteria. This is on a trial basis. If we find that this is all students are having for lunch, it will be discontinued. Remember, the fruit contains sugar and Billy Tooth is watching you. To avoid congestion at fruit counter, please have correct change. 4. Teachers report to the office that raisin boxes and milk cartons have been found on the school grounds. We know there are students who have been sneaking nutritious foods on their premises. For this reason, students have been posted are instructed to take names. Your principal will be trying their lunchroom and he wants to see potato chips, candy bars, tortilla chips, soft drinks, and ice cream. Remember, junk food builds soft bones, soft teeth, and makes you sleep a lot. Trust me, it'll work. The right to declare war. I read the other day where a body was believed to be dead was recovered from Lake Michigan. When it warned of considerably thaw set in and the person was alive. Big deal. Thanks to well-meaning merchants who set their refrigeration at wax museum temperatures, I am in a solidified state from May to September. No one even notices. I go to a movie carrying a coat up my arm. I go to the supermarket and spend half my time warming my hands on the rotisserie. I drive my car on the wrong side of the street just to get a patch of sun on my arm. The other night at an intimate little restaurant, I said to my husband halfway through dinner, "Would you put your arm around me? You want to make love or you want to eat?" he asked, buttering a piece of garlic bread. "Nothing personal," I said. "I'm freezing to death. Can you see anyone around us?" "Not too well," he said, squinting in the darkness. "Why?" "If everyone else is hanging from hooks, maybe we got in the food locker by mistake." "I'm perfectly comfortable," he said, snuggling into his wool spurt coat. "Maybe you're anemic or something. You should see a doctor if you're cold all the time." In the doctor's office, the nurse smiled and said, "Hello." "It's easy for you to say," I grumbled. "You're wearing a sweater." She ushered me into her room, where she instructed me, "Take off your clothes and slip into this." I put on a paper gown with a back exit big enough to drive a truck through and slid onto the cold little table. A blow from over the door blew my chart right off the table. I was shivering uncontrollably when the doctor came in, took his stethoscope out of the refrigerator and placed it on my chest. I blew on my hands and coughed. He stood up slowly, moved the stethoscope from around his neck, and walked away to his desk. "If you didn't know better, I'd think you were dead." "What gave me away?" I asked. "The tear in your eye when my breathing steamed up your glasses." Registered camera nuts. Do you understand me when, as a woman who is married to an amateur camera freak, I respectfully suggest that all kinds of legislation be passed requiring a permit to carry a loaded camera? I don't mean to overreact, but I live in fear that someday my husband will point that thing at me, forget he's taken off the lens cap, and click click, I'll end up another statistic at Photomat. I've been photographed walking out of a public bathhouse in a Michigan campground wearing a nightgown, curlers, and rain slicker, fishing around my mouth with my fingers trying to remove a fish bone. And there are 30 prints floating around somewhere of me on my side in the bathing suit that I would give up my next unborn child to get the negatives of. The other day, my husband was flipping the camera on carelessly when I said irritably, "Is that thing loaded?" "Look," he said, "how many accidents have I had with this camera? It was the time you snapped Fred at the office Christmas party trying to Xerox Miss Frampton. He's starting to rearrange your nose. Then there was a time explosion when you nearly broke your leg trying to get back in the picture. And the birthday party where, alright, so join the camera lobby and try to get them off the market. All I'm saying is cameras shouldn't be made available to the man on the street. Let professionals know how to use them. The way it stands now, any child could walk right into a camera store and buy a Sunday afternoon special right off the counter, no questions asked. Next thing you know, some innocent person is staring into the eye of an Instamatic. Come on, you're making a big deal over nothing. I use the camera all that much. Just feel kind of important when I have a camera running back there in the window of my pickup truck. Besides, it's sort of fun watching people's reactions when you point at them. He grabbed the camera and trained on my hips, which looked like I'm carrying 2 U.S. mail pouches for the Pony Express. I heard the button click. Fooled you. The camera isn't loaded. One of these days you will push me too far. And there isn't a woman jury in this country who would find me guilty. The end.